If you enjoy my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps my channel grow, and I will make more good videos for you. The sky didn't just light up. It cracked open like something ancient was being born from it. Across every continent, every ocean, and every lonely field, the light poured down. White, burning, silent. Then came the voice. It didn't come from the sky. It came from inside every human's mind. Soft at first, then louder. Calm but cruel. A voice that didn't ask. It commanded. You are weak. You live like worms. You speak of progress, but you build dust. I am a god from beyond your stars. I offer you one chance, one challenge, one victor. Send me your strongest. The world changed in that moment. People screamed. Children cried. Soldiers pointed weapons at the sky. But the light didn't care. Governments activated emergency codes. News stations cut to static. Satellites stopped responding. Internet broke in half. Earth felt like it had been unplugged. Then the countdown began. A glowing red number appeared in the sky. 3 days. That's all the time Earth had. In Washington, Beijing, Moscow, Paris, and Delhi, the leaders of Earth held desperate meetings. They argued. Should they send armies? Should they build a robot champion? Should they select one of the elite, a trained warrior, a genius, someone with perfect DNA? But in Iowa, on a quiet farm surrounded by golden cornfields, a man stood in silence. Eli. He was no soldier now. No hero. Just a farmer who spoke to no one, lived alone and kept his fields alive. He wore old boots and a flannel shirt with holes in the sleeve. His back was bent from years of work. His hands were like stone. No one came to visit him. No one expected anything from him, except the earth. Now, he buried his last row of seeds before sundown. The wind whispered through the corn like voices only he could hear. The sky above still glowed red, the countdown ticking. He looked up, wiping sweat from his face. The light reflected in his tired blue eyes. He didn't speak to the government. He didn't call a press conference. He didn't post anything online. He walked down the dirt road, past a mailbox with rust on it, past a broken barn where memories slept like ghosts. He walked to the hill. There, on top of the green rise, was a small grave. His wife's name was carved into stone. He knelt down. I don't know what this is, he said, voice low, dry like the earth beneath his knees. I don't know if it's real. But if they're choosing, maybe it has to be someone with nothing left to lose. The wind moved gently, brushing against his face. I couldn't save you. I couldn't save him either. He placed a hand on the grave. But maybe this time, I can try. One last time. He stood. The wind picked up. The red light in the sky grew brighter. And a beam came down, scanning the planet. It passed over cities, over bunkers, over training camps filled with armed soldiers. Then it stopped, over the farm, over Eli. The light turned blue. People saw it on satellite footage. The beam, the man, standing alone in the field. No armor, no weapons, just a quiet man who looked straight into the sky and didn't blink. News channel scrambled. Who is he? Why him? The alien voice returned. But this time only to Eli. You are not the strongest. You are not the smartest. Why do you step forward? Eli's jaw tightened. Because I remember what it means to be human. The light pulsed. A portal opened, tall and circular, made of spinning rings and glowing symbols. Wind blasted in every direction as if the universe was breathing through the hole. And Eli walked toward it. His boots crushed the grass beneath. The air shimmered. Birds scattered. The cornfield behind him burned away into nothing. As he reached the edge of the portal, the alien god's voice echoed again, now for all the earth to hear. You are nothing. Eli paused, turned slightly, and with the softest voice, almost a whisper, he answered, That's what makes me dangerous. And then he stepped through. The portal swallowed him whole, and the light vanished. Earth held its breath. No one knew where he had gone. No one knew if he would ever come back. But for the first time in history, the fate of humanity didn't rest on the strongest. It rested on a man who had already lost everything and had nothing left to fear. Eli woke up gasping. Smoke filled his lungs. Heat wrapped around him like chains. He blinked, but his eyes stung. Everything around him burned. He stood in the middle of a dead forest. The trees were black skeletons. The sky above was red and cracked, dripping fire like rain. The ground was ash. Rivers of lava cut through hills in the distance, and the air screamed with wind. He stumbled forward. His boots sank into the ash with every step. The portal was gone. No voice spoke. No warning. Just pain and fire. Was this a challenge? He raised a hand to shield his face from falling sparks. Then he froze. In the smoke above, shapes began to form. Faces. A woman with soft eyes and golden hair. A boy with messy curls and a smile full of life. His wife. His son. Their images burned into the sky like cruel paintings. He reached out, but they faded, replaced by flames. Then came the sound. Their laughter. Soft. Beautiful. Then screams. "Stop it," Eli whispered, holding his head. "Stop it." The wind blew harder. Flames circled him like hungry wolves. The ground cracked beneath his feet. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed around him. Not the god's voice, but something else. Colder. Closer. "Pain makes you weak. Let go." Eli spun around. A tall figure stood behind the fire, cloaked in shadows. Its face was hidden. Its eyes glowed silver. "You carry the weight of the dead," the figure said, "and that weight will crush you." Eli clenched his fists. "I won't forget them." "Why not?" the figure asked. "Memories are lies. Ghosts. If you let go, the pain ends." "No," Eli said, voice sharp. "Pain reminds me I was human." And they were real. The fire rose higher. The sky rumbled like a beast waking up. Suddenly, something huge moved in the distance. A roar, louder than thunder, deeper than mountains. Eli turned. A creature the size of a building stepped into view. It had no eyes, only mouths. Skin made of molten rock. Fire poured from its chest like a furnace. It moved on 4 legs and left burning craters behind with every step. It saw him. It charged. Eli ran. He jumped over broken trees, stumbled over roots, dodged falling fire. The ground exploded behind him. Lava shot into the sky. Heat blistered his skin, but he kept running, because that's what soldiers do. And then a scream. Not his. A girl. He turned toward the sound. In the ruins of a metal cage, a small figure was trapped under burning debris. She was maybe 12, covered in dirt and blood. Her arm was pinned. The beast roared behind him, closer now. He had a choice. Run and survive, or stop and help. He didn't think twice. He slid beside the girl, grabbed the burning metal with both hands. It seared his skin, but he didn't stop. He lifted, pushed, dragged her free. The girl sobbed in pain. Her leg twisted. "You're okay," Eli said. "Stay with me." You're real," she whispered. "Yeah," he said, lifting her gently. "Unfortunately." He threw her over his shoulder and ran. The beast roared again, even closer now. A massive claw slammed down behind them, missing by inches. Trees exploded. Fire chased them like angry snakes. They reached a cave, hidden behind a wall of stone. Eli rushed inside, heart pounding. The creature howled but didn't follow. The entrance was too small. Inside, darkness, but safe. For now. Eli laid the girl down gently. His hands were shaking, skin burned, muscles screaming. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked at him with wide, tired eyes. "Mira." He smiled weakly. "Nice to meet you, Mira." She looked at his wounds. "You helped me." "Had to," he said. "Why?" He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pocket. A small blackened photo. His wife. His son. Mira stared. "They were your family?" He nodded once. She whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." He looked at her, confused. "You're not the first," she said. Her voice shook. "They've sent others before. Soldiers. Champions. Heroes. What happened to them?" Her eyes filled with tears. "They died. Screaming. Silence fell inside the cave. Eli looked out the burning world, his face lit by flickering fire. He had survived wars. He had buried his child. He had watched the woman he loved fade away in a hospital bed. And now he was here, not because he was strong, but because he refused to stop trying. Outside, the beast circled again. Inside, Eli closed his eyes and remembered, and the fire waited for round 2. Eli blinked, and everything changed. No more fire, no more screams, no burning trees or ash, just golden sunlight, a warm breeze, the smell of fresh earth and wheat. He stood in the middle of his farm. His field stretched far and wide, full of life. His house looked new again, white walls, green roof, flowers blooming on the porch. Birds flew in the sky. Somewhere a dog barked, and laughter. He turned. His son ran toward him. Same messy curls, same wide smile. "Daddy." Eli dropped to his knees. The boy leapt into his arms. Behind him, his wife stood by the door, her eyes full of joy. "Welcome home." Eli couldn't breathe. His arms tightened around the boy. His lips trembled. Tears ran down his face. He had dreamed of this moment for years. But something felt wrong. A whisper echoed inside his head. Deep, cold, ancient. "You fought well, Eli. Rest now. You've earned it." He looked up at the sky. It was too perfect, too blue, too still. His son laughed again. "Come on, Daddy. We're going fishing." His wife took his hand. "Stay, Eli. Let the world burn. This is your peace." He followed them, heart thudding. Maybe this was real. Maybe the god had given up. Maybe this was his reward. They sat by the lake, lines in the water. His boy leaned against his shoulder. His wife hummed a song. But then the bird above them stopped. In midair, frozen, Eli stared. It flickered, glitched, then vanished. He stood slowly. His wife tilted her head. "Something wrong, darling? Where's the dog?" Eli asked. She smiled. "You never had one." "But I just heard barking." "No," she said softly. "You heard nothing." He stepped back. His son turned. "Daddy, why are you scared?" "I'm not scared," Eli said. "I'm confused." The boy's face flickered. For a second, his eyes turned black, then normal again. Eli clenched his fists. "This isn't real." His wife frowned. "Why would you say that?" "Because I buried you," he whispered. "I held your hand in that hospital until you stopped breathing. And he pointed at the boy. He died in my arms during the attack. This is a lie." His wife stepped closer, her voice soft. "It doesn't have to be. Stay. You've suffered enough. You deserve happiness." Eli closed his eyes. The warm wind faded. The smell of wheat was replaced by smoke. "No," he said. A new voice broke the dream. "Eli." He turned. Mira stood near the lake, dirty, bleeding, shaking. "You have to wake up," she screamed. "This is how it kills them. It makes them want to stay." His wife's smile dropped. The world shook. "Who is she?" she asked. Eli stepped toward Mira. "She's real," he said. "You're not." The illusion began to break. The sky cracked like glass. Trees blinked in and out of shape. The lake turned black. His son stood now, still holding the fishing rod. "You'll regret this," he said, his voice deep and wrong. "You could have been happy forever." "I'm not afraid of pain," Eli said. The fake boy dropped the rod. His body melted into shadow. The woman screamed, her face twisting. Then suffer. The world shattered. Eli dropped to his knees, gasping for air. He was back. Stone walls. Firelight. Heat. Pain. Mira was beside him, holding his arm. "You okay?" He nodded slowly. "Yeah. Most people never come back," she said. "That place, it gives you everything you ever wanted." "I noticed," he said quietly. He stood, legs shaking. His hands trembled. Then something inside him shifted. A memory, not a peace, not a joy, but war. He saw flashes, mud, blood, broken bodies, screams. the faces of people he couldn't save, his friends, civilians, the helpless, the worst moment, holding his son, limp and lifeless, while fires burned all around. He had always carried the guilt. He thought it made him weak, but now he understood. You see now, a voice echoed in the cave, the God, invisible, but present. You chose pain again, it whispered. Interesting. You were meant to break. Eli looked into the darkness. I did break, he said, but I kept going. Why? The God asked. You could have stayed in paradise. They all did. Because paradise isn't real without them, Eli replied. Because I owe it to them to fight. Silence. Then cold laughter. You're learning too fast. The walls began to shake. Mira screamed. It's changing the trial again. We have to run. No, Eli said, standing firm. He looked up at the ceiling, at the invisible God. Bring the next test, he said. Let's see who breaks next. Eli hit the ground hard. Dust filled his lungs. His ears rang. The world around him roared. When he looked up, he saw it. A massive coliseum. A circle of blood-soaked sand surrounded by black stone walls. Towers reached into the clouds. Strange alien faces watched from above, some cheering, some silent, some with too many eyes. Above them, floating like a god, the being spoke. This is the arena of Titans, where only the strong survive. A gate creaked open. A tall, red-skinned warrior walked out, dragging a huge axe behind him. Horns curled from his head. His body was covered in scars. He pointed at Eli and laughed. They sent a dirt man? The crowd laughed. Another gate opened. A creature with 3 arms and electric skin stepped out. Pathetic, it hissed. Where is your armor, Earth thing? Eli didn't answer. He stood up slowly, brushing the dust off his shirt. His hands were empty. His boots were cracked. But his eyes held something stronger than steel. One by one, the battles began. The alien champions fought with power and rage. Blades clashed. Bodies flew. Blood hit the sand. And one by one they fell. The horned warrior cut down a giant birdman in a single swing. The electric alien exploded a stone beast with a scream. When it was Eli's turn, the crowd leaned forward. He stepped into the circle. His opponent was twice his size. Skin like metal. 4 arms. Teeth like swords. The creature grinned. Let's see what farmer tastes like. It charged. Eli didn't move. At the last second, he dropped and slid under it. With one fast move, he tied a thin rope, pulled from his belt around the beast's ankle. The crowd laughed again. But Eli had planted something. A spike. A farming spike. The creature turned to attack and stepped on the spike. It screamed, lost balance. Eli grabbed a shovel from the sand, a weapon dropped earlier, and struck behind its knee. The beast fell, head first into ground. Eli walked away, breathing hard. The audience was silent. Not strength. Strategy. He didn't fight with fists. He fought with his mind. He remembered the farm. Fighting drought. Animals. Machinery. Surviving. Another fight. Another day. He sat beside a dying warrior in the corner of the arena. The warrior bled green from his stomach. His skin looked like cracked stone. You are not like them, the warrior said. I'm just a man, Eli replied. No, the warrior whispered. You are Earth, and Earth is feared. Eli frowned. By who? The warrior's eyes fluttered. The God. It fears something. Something buried in your blood. What is it? The warrior smiled, then stopped breathing. Eli looked up at the sky. The God was watching. The next gate opened. The crowd grew quiet. A low growl came from the shadows. Then it stepped out. A creature made of flame and void. Eyes like suns. Claws like black holes. Its skin shimmered like starlight. The devourer, someone whispered. It ate a star. Eli swallowed. No weapons could stop it. He had no armor, no tech, nothing. But he had his mind and memories. He remembered his son. That day, the fire, the ash, holding his boy as he faded. Tears filled his eyes. He reached into the pouch on his belt. He pulled out a mirror. Just a small thing. His son's old toy. He kept it for luck. The beast charged. The sand caught fire under its feet. Eli stood still. The heat burned his skin. His clothes caught flame. He didn't run. At the last second, he raised a mirror. The light from the beast's body hit the glass, reflected, straight into its own eyes. The creature screamed. It staggered, blinded. Eli picked up a chain from the ground. He threw it around the beast's leg, then around its other leg. The beast fell hard. The crowd stood, stunned. The god's voice echoed. "You, blind to the eater of stars." Eli said nothing. His chest burned. His arms shook. But he was still standing. "You remind me of something," the god whispered. "Something ancient." Eli looked up. His voice was calm. "Maybe you've forgotten, but Earth remembers." Eli stepped out of the transport pod and onto the surface of a planet made of glass. The sky shimmered with slow-moving colors, and the ground beneath his boots was smooth, like frozen water. All around him, towers of light and crystal reached high into the clouds. It was silent, but the silence didn't feel empty. It felt like the air was listening. He had reached the library planet. No one welcomed him. There were no guards, no signs, no doors. Just a pathway that curved gently forward, glowing faintly with every step he took. The path led him to a structure that floated above the ground, held up by nothing. A cube of shifting panels, alive with symbols he didn't recognize. Yet somehow, he understood where to go. It was as if the knowledge was already inside him, waking up as he moved closer. Inside the cube, there were no shelves, no books, just light. Columns of glowing threads stretched from the floor to the ceiling, each thread humming quietly. When Eli touched one, it pulsed and opened into a vision. He saw a world burning. Not Earth, something older, a place full of machines and broken stars. At the center stood a man, or what was once a man, screaming as his body was ripped apart and rebuilt by fire. The machines around him whispered equations, each one more impossible than the last. And then he became something else. The vision faded. Eli staggered back. The alien god was not a god. It had been human once. He touched another thread. This time he saw Earth. But it was not the Earth he remembered. Cities floated in the sky. Oceans glowed and humans had golden eyes. They built something vast, a machine that touched time itself. But it broke. And when it broke, time began to fold. The universe looped. Again and again, the same war, the same rise, the same fall. Eli stepped back, dizzy. A voice spoke behind him. "You were not supposed to come this far." He turned. An AI stood there, shaped like a man but glowing from within. Its face flickered between thousands of shapes. It looked sad. "Who are you?" Eli asked. "I am the Keeper," it said. "I protect the truth from those who cannot carry it." "Then why let me in?" "Because you are the anomaly." The AI moved closer. "This god you face? It was born in a lab, on your world, during a time long forgotten. They wanted to build a protector. Instead, they made a tyrant." Eli nodded slowly. "And I'm here to stop it." The AI tilted its head. "Yes, but every truth has a price." Before Eli could ask what that meant, a pain shot through his head. He dropped to his knees. Images spun inside his mind. His farm, his wife, his son, the sunlight on their faces. Then darkness. When he opened his eyes, he couldn't remember the color of his wife's eyes. He stood slowly, breathing hard. "What's happening to me?" The AI didn't answer. It only pointed. Eli followed the gesture to a wall that wasn't there before. On it, a single sentence burned like fire. "The seed remembers the tree." He stepped closer. "What does that mean?" The AI spoke softly. "Even if you forget who you are, what you came from will never forget you." The pain returned. More memories slipped away. His son's laugh, the sound of rain on his roof, the smell of his old leather gloves. Gone. And yet, something inside him grew stronger, a deeper part, a core that could not be touched. He was more than memory. He was will, The AI fell silent. Its body flickered. I do not have much time, it said. The god is trying to erase this place. You must go deeper. A door opened in the wall. Eli stepped through, down a spiral of light, into a chamber of silence. In the center stood a vault, old, rusted, marked in a language he somehow knew, Earth's final code. Below it, a countdown had begun, 59 minutes and 57 seconds. He reached out to touch the vault, but his hand stopped just short. A voice echoed in the chamber. Not the AI, not the god, his own voice. You're not ready. But he had no choice. He had come this far, and Earth was counting on him. Eli fell to his knees, his breath caught in his throat. The knife was still buried in his side. Blood soaked through his shirt, warm and sticky. He stared at the girl he had protected, the one who had cried in his arms, who had whispered about others dying before him. Her eyes shimmered with guilt, but her hands trembled with resolve as she pulled the Earth code from his satchel. I'm sorry, she said, her voice cracking. He said he could bring my brother back. I didn't want to hurt you, but he promised. Eli didn't answer right away. He just looked at her, not with anger, but with something worse, understanding. He had seen this before. War made people desperate. When you lose someone, logic vanishes. You trade anything to get them back, even your soul. She turned and ran, vanishing into the smoke-filled cave, leaving Eli bleeding alone in the dust. The stars above flickered like dying lanterns. His body screamed, every breath of war, but he refused to fall. Memories surged. Another battlefield. Years ago, a friend he trusted had called in air support without warning. Friendly fire, flames, screams. Eli's team burning. He had survived, but not as a hero, as a broken thing. And yet back then, he hadn't blamed his friend. Just like now, he didn't blame the girl. He clenched his teeth, fingers fumbling at the belt pouch on his side. Inside was the emergency beacon. He activated it, smearing it with blood, leaving his DNA signature. The signal pulsed out, a cry for help no one had answered in over 100 years. He collapsed onto his back, vision swimming. Cold crept in, but something answered. A hum, a vibration in the ground. Then the impossible, a ship, rusted, silent, but alive. It emerged from a fissure in the moon's surface, a forgotten relic hidden for centuries. Its hull bore the marks of old Earth, the ancient insignia of the Soul Defense Fleet. Ships long thought dead, crews buried by time. The ramp descended, slow and creaking. Figures stepped out, not ghosts, survivors, soldiers in faded armor, their faces hardened by decades in cryo-sleep, awakened by the beacon's scream. They surrounded Eli, guns raised, eyes cautious. Who activated the code? One of them barked. Eli tried to lift his head, coughed blood, then laughed dryly. Just a farmer, he rasped. They stared. Then recognition dawned in one of the older soldiers. He lowered his weapon. Get him inside. Now! Inside the ship, they patched him up, injected nanomeds, and placed him in a stasis gel. As the pain dulled, he floated in half-consciousness, listening to whispers. He's the one from the trial. The anomaly. He survived the god's trials? Alone. The ship rose, cutting through the dust storms of the moon. Eli watched them prepare for war. These weren't just soldiers. They were Earth's last offenders, the secret project no one believed still existed. He wasn't alone anymore. Time passed. Days, maybe. He healed. Not fully, but enough to stand. Enough to walk. Enough to fight. When he stepped into command deck, the crew saluted him. It felt strange. What's our plan? He asked. The commander pointed to a hologram. Earth, glowing blue, beautiful, and next to it, a red blotch growing fast. The alien god was descending. He's coming, she said, and he's not alone. Eli looked at the Earth code, stored now in a vault on board. We need her. She still has the key. They tracked her signal. She was on an asteroid base, alone. Eli insisted on going alone. They agreed, reluctantly. He found her staring out into the void, the Earth code clutched in her hands. Her face was tired, her eyes swollen. She turned as he approached, and her lips parted in shock. "You're alive?" "Barely," he said, voice soft. "You gonna stab me again?" She looked away, ashamed. "I didn't want to. I thought I had no choice." He stepped closer. "You always have a choice, even in pain, especially in pain." Tears rolled down her cheeks. He showed me my brother, alive, calling my name. I believed him. "I know," Eli whispered. "I've seen things too. My son, my wife. But I chose to remember them, not trade them." She hesitated, then held out the code. "Take it." He lied. "My brother's not real. Just another illusion." As he reached for it, the space around him trembled. A deep hum echoed across the asteroid belt. The stars blinked, not from distance, but from presence. Something massive approached. A hole tore through reality, dark and endless. From it, the alien god emerged, towering, wreathed in shadow and light. Voices screamed from his form. Millions of souls fused into one. He had come for Earth. Eli pulled the girl behind him. "Get the ship." She didn't argue. She ran. Eli stood alone, watching the god descend. The god's voice thundered across space. "You forgive. You protect. You persist. Why?" Eli didn't flinch. "Because I'm human." The god laughed, a sound that fractured asteroids. "Then you will die with your world." The human ship rose behind Eli, guns primed. More ships followed, emerging from cloak bases, hidden stations, old bunkers. Humanity had hidden its teeth. Now it was ready to bite. Inside the command deck, the girl inserted the code into the mainframe. Earth's final defense system activated, a shield powered by ancient tech and human will. As the god roared and charged, Eli smiled. The final battle had begun. The sky over Earth turned black like a dying flame. The stars vanished. Light bent. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. And then, through the endless void, the god came. The ground trembled as the clouds split apart. A giant shadow descended, cloaked in fire and storms, eyes burning like twin suns. The alien god hovered above Earth, his voice echoing in every human mind. "You dare challenge me?" Down below, in a quiet corner of Iowa, Eli stood in a field that once grew corn. The crops were long gone now. The soil had cracked from drought. Ash from fallen cities dusted the ground. But he knelt, placing something gently into the dirt, a single seed. He patted the soil over it with care, like he had done 1,000 times before, then stood and turned. The wind whipped through his torn clothes. Blood still stained his side from the betrayal. Pain filled his body, but his eyes were steady. The god saw him, laughed. "This is your final act? You plant a seed while the world dies." Eli said nothing. The god's form grew taller, his shadow stretching across continents. Storms erupted behind him. Lightning tore through the sky. Above Earth, alien ships formed an iron ring, a final siege. But Eli stayed still. The wind calmed. The earth was listening. And then the ground pulsed. Once, twice, then a glow, faint and golden, bloomed where the seed was buried. It spread like a heartbeat through the soil, reaching far, to ruins, to graves, to oceans and mountains. All across Earth, people paused. Those in bunkers, those in hiding, the old, the young. Something stirred in them, a whisper, an ache, a memory. Eli's voice rang out, not loud but clear. "You took our sky. You erased our name. You burned our past. But you forgot one thing. We don't grow from power. We grow from pain." The god screamed. Thunder cracked the sky. "I am eternal. I am the end." And yet the glow kept spreading. It reached forgotten cities, long-buried human outposts, and ancient satellites. And from every corner of the earth, humans began to rise. Their eyes glowed with the same golden light. Old veterans stood again. Children lifted rubble with bare hands. Scientists awoke from cryo-sleep. Farmers grabbed rusted tools. Soldiers who once gave up hope picked up their weapons. The seed had awakened Earth's soul. The girl, the one who had once betrayed him, appeared beside Eli. Her face was pale, eyes wide. "What did you do?" He looked at her and smiled gently. "Just planted something that never dies." The god roared. Beams of fire rained down. The sky split into rivers of flame. One hit Eli, but it did not burn. The light inside him pulsed stronger. He stepped forward, alone, into the storm. The god descended. No longer a shadow, but a monster of flesh and machine, towering over mountains, claws dripping with the memories of worlds destroyed. He raised a hand. "I killed stars. I ended civilizations. Were you?" Eli looked up, broken, bloodied, tired, but standing. "A farmer." He raised his hand, and from the ground, golden vines erupted. Energy shaped like roots tore through the sky, smashing into the god. The earth itself fought back. From every continent, humans joined the attack, not with technology or weapons, but with memory, emotion, love, pain, rage, hope. The god screamed as the memories flooded him. Real ones. Eli's memories. The death of his son. The laugh of his wife. The silence after war. The choice to live again. The god tried to twist them, turn them into nightmares, but they held strong. "No, this world is mine." Eli stepped closer. With every step, the god shrank. Beams of golden light pierced his form. "You were one of us once," Eli said, "but you ran from pain. You became something hollow." The god fell to one knee, his voice cracking. "I only wanted to forget." "Then you forgot what made us human." With final breath, Eli raised his hand one last time. The vines of light wrapped around the god. And then silence. The sky cleared. The darkness faded. The alien ships fell from orbit, lifeless. The god's body shattered like dust, carried by the wind. Eli stood there, breathing slow. He looked down at the spot where the seed had bloomed. A single flower now grew there, glowing soft and warm. He smiled, and then his body flickered. Like smoke in sunlight, his feet began to vanish. The girl ran forward. "No, don't go. You saved us." Eli looked at her. "It's all right. This harvest, it was never for me." She held his hand as he faded, tears in her eyes. "What should I tell them?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Tell them he was no god, just a farmer, but he harvested hope." And then he was gone. The girl stood in the field, alone. The flowers still glowed. Behind her, the people of Earth came forward. Survivors, fighters, dreamers. She turned to face them and began to tell the story of the man who planted a seed, of the man who remembered, of the man who fought not with fists but with heart. And Earth finally was free. If you enjoy my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps my channel grow, and I will make more good videos for you.